נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד, הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד,
הנה מה טוב ומה נעים שבת אחים גם יחד. Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
It is so nice to welcome Shabbat in community. This Shabbat of Parashat Acharei Mot. To a portion that will introduce us, we'll hear about that quite a bit tomorrow morning from Jake. But will introduce us to Yom Kippur and many of the practices of the Day of Atonement, and many of the practices that invite us to reflect on how we live, how we choose to live our lives. And Shabbat, to some extent, is a weekly invitation to do that, to take a moment and reflect on how we live, how we want to live, how we choose to live our lives. And it is so great that we chose to, at least in this Shabbat, to come together in prayer, in song, and to welcome Shabbat in community. I'd like to invite Mindy and Adam and Ben and Jake. Let's say Jake and Ben this time. Jake and Ben to light Shabbat candles that you can follow on page 120. May the light of these Shabbat candles bring light to all of us. We will now turn our Sidurim to page 130. As we welcome Shabbat in song, Lechu Neranena Adonai. Lechu Neranena L'Adonai, Nari Haletzur, Isheinu Nekadma Fanav, V'toda V'smirot, Nari Alo Nekadma Fanav,
בתודה וזמירות נריע לו.
Page 131.
שירו לאדוני שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני ברכו שמו, בצרו מיום ליום ישועתו, ספרו בגויים כבודו וכל העמים נפלאותיו. ילאי לי 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 ילאי לי לי ילאי לי לי ילאי לי 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 ילאי לי לי ילאי לי לי ילאי לי לי ילאי לי.
Each one of these psalms, each one of these melodies stands in front of one of the days of the week, inviting us to reflect and to let go. To each one of those days. Each one of them is supposed to be like a step in a stairway that helps us climb and reach palace on time, the palace on time that Shabbat invites us to enter. We're at the bottom of page 132. Orsaru al tzadik ulishrei lehev simcha. Simchu tzadikim b'Adonai ve'odu lesecher kodsho. Mizmor Shir Hadash on page 133. Ki niflaot asa. Shiru lo, yeminu lo. Psalm sing to a new song, Shir Hadash. An opportunity to re-encounter our routines, our daily lives with renewed eyes, and to celebrate many of the treasures that we experience in our lives, in our daily lives. We'll now turn our study to page 134, Psalm 95.
זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרם. 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 זמרו לאדוני בכינור, בכינור, בקול זמרם.
Page 136. Mizmor LeDavid, Psalm 29.
מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני בני אלים. מזמור לדוד, הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו. הבו לאדוני כבוד ועוז. הבו לאדוני כבוד שמו.
אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. יאי לאי לאי, יאי לאי 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 לאי, יאי לאי לאי לאי, אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. אדוני יוס לעמו ייתן, אדוני יברך את עמו בשלום. It is such a powerful statement, Adonai Oz le'amo iten, that God will give us the strength, the courage, and so the blessing of peace will take place. Such a powerful reminder that we, at the end of the day, are those that need the courage to work and to walk the path for shalom, for peace, and to, along that path, encounter the blessing of shalom. And that's symbolically not only the last verse of Psalm 29, also the last verse of the oral tradition. The Mishnah ends with that statement, reminding us the same thing that we say when we return the Torah to the ark. דרכיה דרכי נועם, בכל נתיבותיה נתיבות shalom. All its paths are paths of nicehood. Not nicehood because it's just nice, because we work to recognize our differences and to kind of appreciate those differences. And from that place, we can create paths of shalom. I'm trying at least to find that internal shalom, is that we turn our Sidurim to page 138 to welcome the Sabbath bride, Lecha Dodi.
Lecha Dodi לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה, בני שבת נקבלה. שמע וזכור בדיבור אחד, השמיענו אל המיוחד. אדוני אחד ושמו אחד, לשם ותפארת ולתהילה. Lecha Dodi לקראת קהלה, בני שבת נקבלה. Lecha Dodi לקראת כלה,
בני שבת
נקבלה.
לקראת שבת לכו ונלכה, כי היא מקור הברכה. מראש מקדם נהסוכה, סוף מעשה מחשבה תחילה.
לך דודי לקראת קהלה,
פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
מקדש מלך, עיר מלוכה, קומי הציב מתוך ההפכה. רב לך שבט באמת חמך, והוא יחמול עלייך חמלה.
לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי
לקראת קלה,
פני שבת נקבלה.
התנערי מעפר קומי,
לבשי בגדי תפארתך עמי.
היד תשי
ותלכני, קורבן נפשי גאלה.
לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
התעוררי, כי בהורך קומי אורי. אורי אורי שתדברי, כבוד אדוני עלייך נגלה. לך דודי לקראת קהלה, פני שבת נקבלה. לך דודי לקראת קלה, פני שבת נקבלה.
לך דודי, לקראת קלה,
פני שבת,
פני שבת נקבלה. לא לך דודי, we can do it again. לקראת קלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. לא תבושי ולא תקלמי, מה תשתוכחי ומה תהמי, בך יחסו עניי ימי ונבנתה. הירלתי לה, לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
והיו למשיסה
שעושייך, ורחקו כל מבלעייך, יסיס עלייך אלוהייך כמסוס חתן הקהל. לך דודי, לקראת קלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. ימין ושמאל תפרוצי את אדוני, תריצי על יד איש בהם פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה.
לך דודי,
לקראת קלה, פני שבת, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה.
בואי ושלום, עטרת בעלה, גם בשמחה. ובצהלה תוך אמונה עם סגולה
בואי חלה, בואי קלה, איי 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 איי, לך תודי. איי 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 איי, לקראת קהלה. איי פני שבת, פני שבת, פני שבת נקבלה. While we are standing, we will take a moment to acknowledge each other's presence and to say Shabbat Shalom to each other. We invite you to actually take a moment and go around the room, and if you recognize the face that you don't recognize, actually introduce yourself and say Good Shabbos. We will invite you now to turn your study to page 140. Mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. Jake, mizmor shir, shir leyom ha-Shabbat. 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 We will now turn our theory into page 144 for Chetzi Kaddish. Sorry, Jake.
Yitzkadav, Yitzkadash, Shemei Rabbah.
Amen.
Be'alma divera, chirute, be'amlich malchute. B'hayechon, u'yomechon, u'hayedecho Beit Yisrael. Bagala, Bagala, Uvizman Karib, Ve'imeru Amen. Yehi Shmei Rabba Mevorach, Le'alam Lo Me'amaya, Yitbarach, Yitbarach, V'yishtabach, V'yitzpa'ar, V'yitroma, V'yitnaseh, V'yithadar, V'yitale, V'yithalal, Shemei Dekudesha, Brihu, Le'alamim Korhata, Eshirata, Tushbechata, V'nehemata, Damiran Ve'ama, Ve'imeru, Amen.
Now turn our student to page 146. For Baruch, please rise.
Baruch et Adonai Hamevorach.
May be seated as we turn to the next page and we read, Blessed are you, Adonai, our God, ruler of the universe, who speaks the evening into being, skillfully opening the gates, thoughtfully altering the time and changing the seasons, and arranging the stars in their heavenly course according to plan. You are creator of day and night, rolling light away from darkness and darkness from light, transforming day into night and distinguishing one from the other. Adonai Tzvaot is your name. Ever-living God, may you reign continually over us into eternity. Blessed are you, God, Adonai, who brings on evening. Baruch Ata Adonai, Amariv Arabim. Ahavat Olam, Beit Yisrael Amcha, Havta Torah, Mitzvot, Chukim, Mashpatim, Utanu Limandata. Everlasting love you offered your people Israel, teaching us Torah, Mitzvot, laws, and precepts. Therefore, when we lie down and we rise up, Adonai, we will meditate on your laws and commandments, rejoice in your Torah forever. Day and night we will reflect on them, for they are our life, and doing them lengthens our days. Al tasir mimenu le'lamin be'avatcha. Never remove your love from us. Praise to you, Adonai, who loves your people Israel. And we read, Baruch Ata Adonai, Ohev Amo Yisrael.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad. Page 154. ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודיך, והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבביך, ושיננתם לבניך, ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך, ושרתם לאות על ידיך, והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך, וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך, למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותי, והייתם קדושים לאלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם, אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים, להיות לכם לאלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
אמת, אדוני אלוהיכם, אמת. אמת, אמונה כל זו וקיים עלינו כי אדוני אלוהינו, ואין זולתו ואנחנו ישראל עמו. We'll continue with a silent reading over page 156. Your children witness your presence. They accepted your sovereignty and praise your name in gratitude. All of them proclaiming, "Who is like you, O God? Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai." We're on page 158. Mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai, mi kamocha ne'edar v'kodesh. נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, נורא תהילות אוסף אלה, היי מלכותך, ראו בניך, בוקע ים לפני משה ומרים. זה אלי הנו ואמרו, אוי זה אלינו ואמרו. Allay, 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 נמלוך לעולם בעת ונאמר כי פדד נא את יעקב וגלו מיד חסק ממנו. Thus it is said, Adonai redeemed Jacob from a hand stronger than his own. Praise are you, Adonai, for redeeming Israel. Baruch Ata Adonai Baal Israel. We're on page 160. We will commence the blessing for internal peace with the words that you will find in your handouts. Sometimes I lay under the moon and thank God I'm breathing. Then I pray, Lord, take me soon, 'cause I'm here for a reason. Sometimes in my tears I drown, but I never let it get me down. So when negativity surrounds, I know someday it will all turn around, because my life I've been waiting for, I've been praying for my people to say that we don't want to fight no more, there will no more wars, and the children will pray one day, one day, one day, one day, one day, one day. Ashkivenu Adonai, Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim.
Ashkivenu Adonai,
Eloheinu leshalom, V'hamidenu shomreinu lechayim. Ushmor setenu ובואנו לחיים ושלום מעתה והעמידנו שומרנו לך אשכירנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו שומרנו לך one day ברוך אתה אדוני הפורש סוכת שלום עלינו ועל כל עמו ישראל ועל ירושלים. Blessed are you Adonai, the shelter of peace is spread over us, over all your people Israel, and over the city of Shalom, the holy city of Jerusalem.
On the next page we read V'shamru b'nei Yisrael to Shabbat. People of Israel shall keep Shabbat, observing Shabbat throughout the ages, a covenant, a brit for all time. It is a sign between me and the people Israel. For 6 days God made heaven and earth, and on the 7th day, on Shabbat, God ceased from work and was refreshed.
Page 164, please rise for Tfilat Amidah.
תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך אדוני שפתי תפתח ופי יגיד תהילתך.
As we conclude the prayers of the heart, we read, Oseh Shalom b'imromav, Hu ya'aseh Shalom aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol yoshvei tevel, v'imru. Amen. It's at this point in our evening prayer that I want to invite those who may be thinking of people in need of healing, body, spirit, malady, infirmary, addiction, struggle, to share the names aloud with the community as my eyes go around the room.
Scott Van Gundy, Dave Stahl, Margaret and Larry McGuan, Carol Rosenberg, Batu Peters, Rich Bridger, Sandra Goldberger, Elise Musin, Mira Engel, Victoria Spiller, Bruce Prevail, Judy Sutton, Reina Lopez, Nadia Fachanova, Ellen Kashik, Richard Ravitch, Bernice Paris, Bernard Zeldow, Brant Kotowski, Howard Beckerman, Elaine Weinberg.
We sing together from the words which can be found on the handout in the bottom. Ana elna, Ana elna, Ana elna, Ana elna, Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Ana elna. Ana elna. Ana elna. Ana elna. Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Oh, Ana elna refanala. Ana elna. Ana elna.
Wish to all of them, to all of you, to all of us, to all those asking and praying for healing, refuah shlema, והחלמה מהירה, a complete recovery, and soon to have well-being. And we say,
Amen.
Shabbat Shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
Just give me 1 second. We have limited space here, so I'll put it here. In life, we sometimes encounter situations and events that leave us speechless. A couple of weeks ago, when we read Parashat Shmini, we learned about how two of Aaron's children, Nadav and Avihu, tragically die offering a fire that wasn't commanded. We learned that Aaron remained silent. Vayadom Aaron. No words came out of his mouth. But what is quite symbolic, beyond Aaron's response, is that it looks like the Torah. The Torah itself takes a moment to reflect about this situation. The narrative of the Torah goes on to talk about different topics. One could think that it is a closed case. We encounter the Torah portions of Tazria and Metzora, and sometimes the entire holiday of Passover comes. But then the Torah, in this week's Torah portion, in Parashat Acharei Mot, circles back to the tragedy of the loss of Aaron's children. וידבר אדוני אל משה אחרי מות שני בני אהרון בקרבתם לפני אדוני, בקרבתם לפני אדוני ימותו. Adonai spoke to Moses after the death of the two sons of Aaron, who died. And there is now an explanation of how that happened. When they drew too close to the presence of God. Now, why is the Torah getting back to this right now? One of the possible explanations is the Torah is all along explaining what are the roles of the priest. And the Torah is about to enter yet another topic that encompasses or that brings about some risks for the priest, and therefore it is reminding what happened to Aaron's children before. There are possibilities that the Torah itself was, or the possibility that I would like to offer, is that Torah itself was speechless and needed some time to process. Sometimes we come to speak about things too quickly. And sometimes, because we don't know exactly what to say about certain things, which is the opposite situation, we just say nothing. An interesting thing happened around our ability to say or not to say in the aftermath of the pogrom on October 7th. We were speechless. We had no words. I remember myself standing up here several months ago, 2 days later, saying that we didn't know what to say. And saying that we were going to say prayers together because we didn't have words to offer at this point. But then many other things started to happen. The victims of the pogrom of October 7th were accused. We heard that these people died because they were colonizers. And we heard even from, we read from certain scholars and thinkers that we shouldn't mourn. We shouldn't mourn those who died on October 7th because they were colonizers. And a variety of words started to be attached to what happened to us on that day. Then the hostages came. Then we realized it was first 5 hostages, 10 hostages, all of a sudden. We didn't know actually how many hostages we had. Then we had denial, right? The posters with the pictures of the hostages were pasted in the streets of many cities, and they were broken, taken away, covered with something else, because it was a lie, and we heard that too. Then a war started, and many of us felt that it was a justified war. The sovereignty of the state of Israel was undermined. There were more than 200 hostages. There were good reasons to go to a war. On the other hand, very soon we realized in the reality of that war that the war has a terrible price. And that prices are paid not only on one side of the fence. And we realized the terrible number of civilian casualties, the heartbreaking number of civilian casualties. And then we started to hear about the dichotomy of, are you for Israel or for the Palestinians? There were 2 options. And if you were for Israel, then we started to hear that you were a genocidal Jew, or that you wanted babies to be killed. There was no possibility to hold to the two truths, that you want the well-being of the Palestinians, and at the same time, at least there was no possibility in the public discourse, that at the same time you want also the well-being of the state of Israel and the safe return of the hostages. Then the demonstrations in campuses started. Now, with the pictures we have been seeing in the media over the last couple of weeks, it's hard to remember, but I wanted to bring back the hearings in Congress, during which the presidents of Harvard, the University of Pennsylvania, and MIT all claim that calls for the genocide of Jews would violate their universities' policies only depending on the context. Now, in the website of the ADL, fast forward 4 months later. So from that time in Congress, 4 months later, we hear protesters in Columbia University chanting that, say it loud, say it clear, we don't want no Zionists here. And free our prisoners, free them all, Zionism will fall. I don't know what's the plan with the 7 million Jews that live there. But then we hear from them that the plan for the 7 million Jews that live there is to go back to Poland. Right? Jews go back to Poland. Now, before I go even one sentence further, let's have this clear. The protests against the war and against the current administration of the State of Israel are legitimate, whether we agree or not. Those are legitimate protests. It's one of the foundations of our democracy for people to have the right to protest, to disagree. And we should commit to that justice, even if we dislike or disagree with what we are hearing. But any call to hurting Jews or to prevent Jews from entering places on campuses, of attaching the word genocidal to Jews, any of those calls that demonize the State of Israel and Jews as one, they're not asking not for peace and not for justice. When we or expressing disagreement, they're not expressing disagreement. They're just hate speech. When students are advocating or their sympathy with Hezbollah and Hamas, two organizations that ask for Jews to be just wiped away from earth, that's not sympathy. That's the connection, the wrong connection with something that is terribly unjust for the sake of something that seems to be just. Now, Hamas is a problematic organization. The organization that we are dealing with is a problematic one because while they are asking for the end of the war, from their perspective, the only thing that can be achieved is a hudna, which means a break. Ceasefire, from the Hamas perspective, is not a possibility. So this is a very challenging situation. And I want to say very, very clearly, I hope for a ceasefire and for the release of the hostages. I really hope for that. I also hope for justice. I was symbolically, maybe I wasn't thinking about it, but my subconscious told me to do that. I read Dara Horn's People Love Dead Jews this last week. And Horn makes an argument, a very interesting argument. She describes a situation in which she is in the Museum of the Holocaust in Auschwitz. And she says that she gets terribly annoyed when she's there. She's 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours in every single one of the expositions they have there, and she gets terribly, terribly frustrated. And the point that she makes, she says, when I left the museum, I realized it didn't work. All these museums that we created and that were created for the sake of educating people and with the hope that people will, because they knew and they recognized the history, they weren't going to hate anymore. It didn't work. And she says then something else. This very detailed explanation of what happened to us, to the Jews, in the Shoah, in the Holocaust, to some extent, is the foundation to undermine any other form of anti-Semitism. So because what's Pittsburgh next to Auschwitz? What's San Diego next to anything that happened to us in the Shoah? Particularly interesting or particularly powerful that in that context, what we are hearing in the tropes that are being chanted in the universities is genocidal Jews. This next week we will commemorate Yom HaShoah, the days of the Holocaust. And it is an important thing to remember, and I want to share with you a quote from my beloved Rabbi Shai Held, that our suffering, even when we are hearing this anti-Semitic cause, is supposed to be the foundation for us to bring healing to the world and not more harm. Rabbi Shai Held says, perhaps having suffered, you are tempted to learn indifference or even hate. Refuse that temptation. Let your memory teach you empathy, and your suffering teach you love. And so, when we are hearing the voices of the dichotomy, screaming hatred against the Jews, I want to urge all of us first to speak out and oppose and call out on those voices, but also to try to hear other voices. The voices that are screaming for peace or screaming their disappointment over what's happening here in the United States and, of course, in Israel and in the Middle East. To do what we call a covenant not of extremes, but of moderates, of people that want shalom. We too shouldn't dehumanize, and this is an important thing to remember, as we are being dehumanized very often. We also need to oppose Jewish voices dehumanizing Palestinians. We should clearly condemn terror. We should oppose Jewish voices dehumanizing Palestinians. We can express our support for the state of Israel while say that we disagree with the current administration. To remind you all, until October 6th, we were demonstrating against, many of us, against the current administration for a judicial reform that unfortunately hasn't been stopped yet and is still in the works. We need to be able to say unequivocally that we are Jews, that we are Zionists, and also if we disagree with the current policies and the administration of the State of Israel, to say that. And I want to circle back to the idea of being silent. This is not time for silence. This is not time for silence. This is time to express our thoughts and to raise our voices, because otherwise we will keep hearing only the extremes that are leading decision-making and that are leading what we are constantly seeing in the media. This is time to approach our challenges with love and with courage, and to work to change a reality that seems and feels impossible, and that is, in which is very tempting to remain silent. Martin Luther King said, there comes a time when silence is betrayal. He also said, our lives begin to end the day we become silent about things that matter. And in the end, we will remember not the words of our enemies, not the words of the anti-Semites that are hurting us so much, but the silence of our friends. Let's make sure that we raise our voices, that we don't remain silent, because the hope for shalom, for any kind of peace, not the peace that maybe our politicians need to achieve, but the peace that starts from the ground and rises from bottom up, starts by us and by us speaking up. Shabbat Shalom. We'll continue our service with the counting of the Omer that you can find on page 570. Do you know how many days of the Omer we are counting? 11 days. Now 11 days, if you do the math, is 7 days. Sorry, 1 week and 4 days. That's how we count the Omer. إنني مخن مزومان إنني مخن مزومان إنني مخن مزومان לקיים את מצוות עשה. הנני מוכן ומסומן לקיים את מצוות עשה של ספירת העומר. I am ready to fulfill the mitzvah of counting the Omer and hope that you are ready too. ברוך אתה אדוני אלוהינו מלך העולם, אשר קידשנו במצוותיו וציוונו על ספירת העומר. Our praise to you, Adonai, sovereign of all, who hallows us with mitzvot, commanding us to count the Omer. היום 11 יום שהם שבוע אחד ב4 ימים לעומר. Today is the 11th day, which is
1 week and 4 days.
Carter, you know. We know you know. Okay, friends, come on, everybody. Today we count 11 days, which is and that's Sfirat HaOmer. Please rise on page 586 for Aleinu Leshaveach. We invite all those that are around the age of bar mitzvah, bat mitzvah, b'nei mitzvah, or under to open the ark with Rabbi Michael.
Jake, that's you.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי ארצות ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם בגורלנו ככל העמונם, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים, עד קדוש ברוך הוא. We continue in silence. In the middle of page 590, a ככתוב בתורתך. אדוני ימלוך לעולם בעת, ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ, ביום ההוא, ביום ההוא, יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו, ושמו, ושמו אחד. You may be seated.
If you are in the first 7 days of mourning, Shiva, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the first 30 days of, this is standing. If you are in the first 30 days of mourning, Shloshim, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you are in the cycle of the first year of mourning, please rise and share with us who you are remembering. If you have a yortzeit this week, an anniversary of someone's passing, please rise and share with us who you are remembering.
My mother, Doris Berber, and my mother-in-law, Ann Merkel.
The congregation offers our condolences to Yelena Kessel on the death of her mother, Irina Greenwald. We remember those who've been taken from us during this past year: Al Herman, Bernie Greenfield, Rocky Flanagan, Pearl Sandelman, Kazua Shimokawa Fleischman, Carolyn Latween, Carl Simon Burns, Arita Perry France, Tracy Taub, Sherwin Katofsky, Lance Vault, Lillian Sidlow, Gail Frankel, Bruce Roberts, David Sherman, Alfreda Massman, Sally Small, Rabbi Jerry Levy, Judy Schwartz, David Benke, Dr. Steve Taub, Louis Dick, Sung Nguyen, Diane Kalmus, Gary Bronstein, Ilya Rabinovich, Bonnie Epstein, Mahin Bahun Sinai, Guy Iluz, Mark Allen Grubbs, Connie Shine, Rosemary McGuan, Stanley Rich, Sandy Bame, Jerry Levy, Rosalie Berkowitz, Adrian Friedman, Tripp Richardson, Eleanor Hill, Daniel Knipe, Sandra Koff, Yenoroso Benito, Marcel Cunningham, Madeline Salzman, Kevin Scott, Robert Kilgore, Dahlia Schneider, Michael Pleiner, Joyce Levine, and those who died at this season in years past: Dana Idlovitz, Diane Roth, Elaine Singer, Doris Sperber, Leon Leiter, Margie Gordon, Norman Milstein, Milton Freeman, Samuel Brunner, Sharon Lowenbrown. And now you can support our community by standing or sitting, joining us with your voices or your hearts for Kaddish Avilim, the Mourner's Kaddish, on page 598. Yitgadal v'yitkadash shmei Rabbah, be'alma divrach chirutei v'yamlich malchutei, b'chayechon v'yomechon u'v'chayei dechol Beit Yisrael, ba'gala u'bizman kariv v'imru. Amen. Yehei shmei Rabbah l'olam u'maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitpa'ar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yithadar v'yit'aleh v'yithalal shemei dekudesha brichu le'elam min kol birchata v'shirata tushbachata v'nechamata da'amiran be'alma v'yimru. Amen. Yehei shlama rabba min shemayav v'chayim aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael v'yimru. Amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav hu ya'aseh shalom aleinu ve'al kol Yisrael ve'al kol yoshvei tevel v'imru. Amen.
Amen.
The memories of your dear ones be always a blessing in your life. Yesichram Baruch, you may be seated.
It's my pleasure to invite up Susan Levin to share with us some announcements. I have it right here.
I'm going to just highlight a few of the announcements. The rest are in the website. And if you don't know, if you go on the calendar and you see something, just click it, and it opens up into a whole world of possibilities. And it took me a long time to figure that one out. Tomorrow morning we continue. We're having bagels and food in the foyer at 9 o'clock, and then 9:30 Torah study, learning about Acharei Mot, and then the bar mitzvah of Jake, so learning some more. And then there's a huge week that follows. On Sunday, the congregational meeting is at 10 o'clock, and it's going to be hybrid, so it'll be in person and it'll be virtual. And it'll be a time to learn everything that's going on in the business side of the community. And I think some of the groups are going to be talking about what they're doing, like the women of Shir Hadash will be having. So you get a check-in on what's going on in the community. And then that evening at Temple Sinai, or Congregation Sinai, there'll be a community-wide Yom HaShoah gathering and service. And I believe also at the congregation that they have an art installation of some Holocaust-related things. And so try to come early so you have a chance to engage with that. And then on Monday, another Holocaust event at noon, there'll be a virtual talk from Marie Neck on. Somebody remembers she somehow related to the Schindler movie. I don't know if her family. Oh, her family was responsible for the book being written and made. And so she's going to be on My Parents, A Holocaust Legacy, more details online. So I should have gone online. I would have known it better and had it in my back pocket. And then if you had a chance last Thursday to hear Rabbi Nico and then Rabbi Aaron at 8:30 in the morning, it's on Zoom, so you can come in your jammies and have your coffee. But the two of them are leading us in studying Pirkei Avot. So this will be the second chapter. Last week was the first, and we'll do it for 6 weeks. And so register online, get the link. And then next Saturday, something really fun. It'll be the Havdalah Gala starting at 6 o'clock. So wonderful food. Drinks, Alan? Are you having the bar? Okay. Discussion and so on. But then there's an online auction that had wonderful things. Among them, really good tickets to see the Cubs and Giants. And I hope nobody heard that and that you won't outbid me. But I'm kind of excited about, Cantor, maybe we can go. Yeah. But the serious part of the event is Rabbi Nico is going to be talking with Zach Bodner, who's the CEO of the Oshman Family JCC in Palo Alto. And Emma is going to be the MC of the, it's so great to have star in our community.
Can we say two things about the two characters that are important?
So I'm going to sit down and let the rabbi go.
First, a word about Zach Bodner. Zach Bodner leads one of the most interesting Jewish projects in the country, and one of the most creative enterprises of Jewish culture and tradition in the United States. And she wrote a phenomenal book. So I encourage you to look up his book, Why Be Jewish, and did I get it right?
Why
do Jewish? And he speaks all the time about doing Jewish. So why do Jewish? And he's a phenomenal thinker and speaker. So that's a very good reason to come and to listen to very, very refreshing ideas and perspectives. And in case that they are not coming through, so we have an insurance policy sitting there, Emma Goss, who is a phenomenal journalist who will make sure that we are bringing all we need to bring into the conversation. So she's phenomenal. Zach is fantastic. So I encourage you to come and to join us. It's going to be a wonderful evening, and we would love to see all of you. Of course, we were waiting for that. No, but yes.
This week we celebrate or we remember the Holocaust, but also the heroism. If you're tired of
You know, you enter like an impossible territory because I skipped that part from my sermon. You are triggering me.
sermon is tomorrow. This is today. If you're tired of feeling hurt and remembering the death, let's come and remember the heroism. Yom HaShoah ve'agvura. I don't even know how it's said in
Courage.
English.
Courage.
Omets
Yeah, but they don't use the name in English. They only say Holocaust Day.
The Holocaust.
Holocaust Day.
And you know, so I'll make a very quick reference to that. The reason for that is because when the state of Israel started to acknowledge the Holocaust survivors, didn't know how to talk about the Shoah, the Holocaust. Talking about silence, the state of Israel itself didn't know how to address and how to talk about this. And then they decided to find something that would give a conduit into acknowledging the memory of the Shoah, the Holocaust, and then took the day in which the revolt in Los Gatos started, led by Mordechai Anilevich, and they said, we're going to connect the two. We will start by remembering the Gvura, the courage, and along the way, then also there was space to talk about other things and about mourning. So thank you for pointing that out, Greg. We will now invite Adam and Mindy to lead us in Kiddush. You can find the Kiddush on page 122. יום השישי, ויחול השמיים בארץ וכל צבאם, ויחל אלוהים ביום השביעי, מלאכתו אשר עשה, וישבות ביום השביעי מכל מלאכתו אשר עשה, ויברך אלוהים את יום השביעי, ויקדש אותו כי הוא שבת, מכל מלאכתו אשר ברא אלוהים לעשות. סברי חבריי וחברותיי. כולכם.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, borei peri hagafen. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kidshanu b'mitzvotav, v'ratzavanu, v'shabbat kodsho, באהבה וברצון הנחילנו, זיכרון למעשה בראשית, כי הוא יום תחילה למקראי קודש, זכר ליציאת מצרים. כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים, בשבת קודשך באהבה וברצון הנחלתנו. ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת.
Shabbat shalom, amen.
L'chaim. Take a drink.
We'll invite now each one of you to stand next to your chosen family, your children, friends. We invite at the end of our Kabbalat Shabbat, we make sure that we share blessings with each other. We recognize the work of creation, and so we recognize our own creations. We say to our children, Yasimchem Elohim k'Efraim וכמנשה, Yasimchem Elohim k'Sara, Rivka, Rachel, Leah. May God inspire you to be like the loving parents of the house of Israel. And we say to all of them, to all of you, Yavarechechem Adonai ve'ish merechem. May God bless you and protect you. Ye'er Adonai panav elechem v'yikunekem. May God's light shine upon you and may God be gracious to you. Yisa Adonai panav elechem. May you find within you God's presence always, and may God Bless you with the ability to remain silent from time to time when silence is what is needed, but also to speak up and to own who you are and to be proud of who you are and to bring the beauty of your identities into a world that is so desperately in need of beauty, of love, of compassion, of empathy. May you find that within yourselves. And may God grant you with His most beautiful gift, the gift of shalom. Yasem lachem shalom. Adonai os le'amav iten. May God gives to its peoples the strength to embrace, to create, to bring about the blessing of shalom, the blessing of peace. Adonai yevarech et amo v'shalom. Shabbat shalom, Shabbat shalom me'orak.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam.
כי אתה הוא מלך אדום, לכל השלום. כי אתה הוא מלך אדום,
לכל השלום.
Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. Shalom Rav Yisrael Amcha Tasim Leolam. וטוב בעיניך לברך את עמך ישראל בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם. שלום רב ישראל עמך תשים לעולם.
Good Shabbos, Shabbat Shalom everyone. Good Shabbos.